All right. Well, what happened was there's this actually pretty famous local pizza place called Roman's Pizza. People who do go there give rave reviews. They love it. And the article does mention that there's a lot of like New York sort of transplanted individuals there that might be a little bit more sensitive to what good pizza is. Yeah. Now, let's be honest, New York pizza is a special style of pizza, and maybe people from Chicago may not appreciate this pizza as much as someone from New York, I'm not sure. But anyways, New Yorkers are famous for their pizza and everything, so this is great reviews, right? And this pizzeria does do delivery service. So suddenly when a lot of one-star reviews started popping up, complaining about how bad the delivery was and how terrible the taste was and having not even the right pizza delivered and a very rude customer service person who was always described as a gruff-voiced man, the owner of the pizzeria started to look into it and been like, what is happening, right? And finally, this all came to fruition when the police caught an individual who had been passing out flyers for pizza. As he was running away from a hotel, he crashed into someone's car, leading the police to actually find him and arrest him, right? There was actually a few altercations with this person, so he was arrested for aggravated battery at the time. But then they found out that he had been the one that had been passing around flyers called Roman Pizza. Right? So we got one letter off, but people, of course, when they're Googling, are not going to see his business. They're going to see Roman's Pizza. And he had been offering a 24/7 delivery service. But unfortunately, it was probably like really quickly cooked or just mass cooked terrible pizzas, maybe even frozen, who knows. And when they would order, the order would take a very long time, and then the pizza delivered would either not be what they ordered at all or very disgusting. When they call him to complain, he would just answer the phone and say, oh, just a minute, and hang up. Every single time. So that's how this restaurant got so many bad delivery reviews. Luckily for the owner of Roman's Pizza, they have been vindicated finally. I don't know if they're able to remove the Google reviews, unfortunately, but at least by law they now have a sort of story to tell anyone who asks about it. They can maybe post that on their website, or when someone calls to deliver, they're like, this is the real Roman's Pizza. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of a crazy story. This sort of like scam. At the end of the article, it does also say there is a 20th century mafia dude who was arrested and said, I worked just as hard for an illegal million as someone would for a legal million. And I think he was trying to get at, maybe you should just legally do your job so that you can earn that million and not go to jail later.
Yes. It's just as hard, whichever route you take.
Yeah.
Why bother with the crime?
Exactly. Hopefully we take heed of his advice, but let's go ahead and jump into some questions, though.
I hope they're about pizza.
Well, unfortunately, they're not really so much about pizza, but they are about food.
Okay.
Another favorite subject of yours.
Right, yes.
Have you ever left an online complaint about a restaurant or anything, or?
Not about a restaurant. I think, I don't know, maybe as long as I've been in Korea, I've never had anything so bad it's worth complaining about. I don't usually complain unless something is really bad, and I feel like, especially with online, I feel like if it's really bad, then I have to warn others. But if it's just, then I tend to leave it alone. I don't want people to get a bad reputation when it wasn't actually that bad. But quite recently, I had a very shockingly terrible experience. I mentioned earlier that I often order raw foods or basic foodstuffs off AliExpress on their app. And up until this point, 99% of the time, it's been great. I've had fresh produce. I've had no problems at all until recently. They delivered me a box of tomatoes. And when I opened the box, a cloud of flies came out of this box. more than 50% of the tomatoes were rotting, squashy, falling apart. And I could even see a few little maggots crawling in there from the flies. And I was just so horrified. I took pictures of it. Then I had to get rid of it out of my apartment. And then I posted the pictures on their review site. And I was giving the details of how disgusted I was and how I was stuck with all these flies in my apartment and this horrible smell from this rotting box. And I demanded a refund. I'm still waiting to hear back on that. But that was the first time in a long time I've had to give a very serious complaint.
Oh, that's terrible, especially when you're like waiting for some good fresh tomatoes.
I love tomatoes.
I was making a salsa the other day, and I can't imagine like going in to make a salsa, and you're like, oh my, like I've been waiting for this, and now I can't do anything. What were you gonna do with the tomatoes?
I was gonna make a Greek salad. I'm not very good at cooking, but I can chop a few tomatoes and cucumbers and feta cheese to make a salad.
Now you're just gonna have cucumbers and cheese.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, also pretty decent.
It's good enough. But,
have you ever called a delivery service and asked for food to be remade? I know you don't do delivery service, so maybe we'll say have you ever been in a restaurant, had food given to you in any circumstance and had it remade?
I don't dare to do that because I'm concerned. Probably no one does this, but I imagine that they're going to be so upset by my complaint that I will get it remade, but they'll have spat in it or put garbage in it or just done something horrible to laugh at me or take their revenge. So I actually don't dare. Even if it's
like there's a hair in it or something.
If it's just a hair,
I do pick out hairs too. I'm just it was cooked anyway. It's just dead tissue. That's true. I've never had a place that was so disgusting I had to have it remade.
That is. It would have to be pretty bad.
Like mold or something. I can't think of anything, but But then again, if there's mold on it or something that bad, you don't want a replacement.
And then I'd be like, I just pay and go. I'll just go.
Or don't pay, hopefully.
Never come back, or maybe try and avoid paying and say, look, that's not acceptable.
Yeah. Well. Oh well.
Yes. You learn.
Live and learn. Vote with your feet. If you don't like the place, just never come back. But what you will like is a vocabulary down below, and you'll have to come there plenty of times. Make sure that it's well ingrained in your everyday English, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye, guys.
Dine in.
Dine in.
Gruff.
Gruff.
Imposter.
Imposter.
Glowing.
Glowing.
Take heed.
Take heed.